Welcome to the Echoes of Ihsan podcast. Today we're going on a deep dive into a fascinating topic, Islamic perspectives on hair and human connection. Our guide for this exploration is, well, it's the Muwatta Imam Malik, specifically Book 51, which focuses entirely on hair.
Oh, okay.
Now, you might be thinking, a whole book about hair. But trust me, it's way more than just, trims and styles. It's a journey into, how seemingly simple things can reveal profound spiritual insights.
Yeah.
Before we jump in, I want to ask you, dear listener, what comes to mind when you think about hair in religious contexts? Do you picture strict rules, symbolic meanings, maybe even stories from your own faith tradition? Okay, let's turn to our text and see what Imam Malik has to offer. Right off the bat. In Hadith 51.1.1, we encounter the Prophet Muhammad instructing his followers to trim the mustache and let the beard grow. Seems pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah.
But what's the deeper significance here?
Well, it's interesting because this seemingly simple act of grooming carries a powerful message. It highlights the importance of following the Prophet's guidance, not just in matters of like prayer or charity,
Right.
but also in everyday life. It's about aligning our outward appearance with our inner devotion and demonstrating a visible commitment to Islamic teachings.
So it's like a subtle
Yeah.
but powerful signifier of faith, a way of kind of showing your allegiance
Yeah.
to the community and its values. It's fascinating how something as seemingly personal as hair can become a point of religious and even social identity.
Exactly, and this connection between personal choices
Right.
and communal identity is further emphasized in the next hadith, 51.1.2, where Muawiyah, a prominent figure in early Islamic history, condemns the use of hairpieces. He even draws a parallel to the downfall of the Israelites,
Yeah.
suggesting that altering one's appearance in this way can lead to straying from the path of righteousness.
Whoa, that's a pretty strong statement. It seems like he's suggesting that even seemingly small deviations
No.
from prescribed practices can have broader implications
Yeah.
for the individual and the community.
Yes, and this idea is deeply rooted in the concept of fitna, which refers to temptation, trial, or anything that might lead people astray from that straight path. In Muawiyah's view, using hairpieces to artificially enhance one's appearance falls into this category. It's about maintaining a sense of authenticity and recognizing that true beauty lies in aligning oneself with God's will.
So it's a reminder that even personal choices can be imbued with ethical and spiritual significance. It's not just about vanity or self-expression. It's about considering the potential consequences of our actions
Yeah.
and ensuring they align with Islamic values. Now moving on to Hadith 51.1.3. We encounter a seemingly different perspective. This Hadith deals with the permissibility of seeing the hair of specific family members, which seems to contradict the emphasis on modesty we've seen so far. What's going on here?
This hadith beautifully demonstrates the nuanced and contextual nature of Islamic teachings. While modesty is undoubtedly a core value, Islamic guidelines also recognize the importance of practicality and the varying levels of intimacy within different relationships. This hadith specifically mentions a man being allowed to see the hair of his son's wife and his wife's mother, drawing a clear boundary between public and private spheres.
So it's not about imposing rigid rules, but rather providing guidance that acknowledges the complexities of human relationships and social context. It's all about finding that balance between upholding core values and navigating the realities of everyday life.
Precisely. Islamic teachings often operate on multiple levels, providing both general principles and specific guidelines that take into account the unique circumstances of each situation. This approach ensures that the spirit of the law is upheld, without sacrificing compassion or practicality.
That's a really insightful way to understand the flexibility and wisdom embedded in Islamic teachings. It's not about blindly following rules, but about understanding the underlying principles and applying them thoughtfully in our lives. Now, I'm curious to see how these principles extend to the actual care and treatment of hair itself.
That's a great point. The Muwatta doesn't just focus on outward appearances, but also delves into the deeper significance of caring for our hair as an act of gratitude and respect. For the body, as a creation of God, let's look at Hadith 51.2.6, where Abu Qatada, a companion of the Prophet, inquires about his long hair. The Prophet advises him to comb it and honor it. The simple instruction goes beyond mere grooming. It speaks to a deeper respect for the body as a gift from God.
It's interesting how this hadith links something as seemingly mundane as hair care to a larger spiritual concept. It's like saying that even the smallest actions
Right.
can be imbued with meaning and purpose when approached with the right intention. But what does honoring one's hair really mean in practice?
That's a question that invites us to reflect on our own relationship with our bodies. Honoring our hair could encompass a variety of practices, starting with basic cleanliness and care. It also implies avoiding anything that might harm or damage our hair, whether it's using harsh chemicals or engaging in practices that could lead to hair loss. It's about recognizing that our bodies are not just vessels, but integral parts of our being, deserving of our care and respect.
So in a modern context, this could mean being mindful of the products we use, the styling methods we choose, and even the way we think and talk about our hair. It's about moving away from a purely aesthetic perspective and embracing a more holistic understanding of hair care as an act of self-respect and gratitude.
Exactly, and this idea of respect for the body is further emphasized in the next hadith, 51.1.4, which addresses the topic of castration. Abdullah ibn Umar, a respected companion of the Prophet, expresses strong disapproval of this practice, stating that the completeness of the created form is in the testicles.
This statement seems to connect to the broader theme of accepting and respecting the body. As God created it, it suggests that altering the body in such a way disrupts a natural order and violates the sanctity of the human form.
Yes, it speaks to the idea that God's creation is inherently complete and perfect. Any attempt to alter or improve upon it is seen as a form of transgression. This perspective highlights the importance of accepting our bodies as they are, with gratitude and humility.
It's a powerful message, especially in a world where we're constantly bombarded with messages about how to fix or enhance our bodies. This hadith encourages us to resist those pressures and embrace the beauty of our natural forms.
Absolutely. It's a call to move beyond superficial standards of beauty
Yeah.
and recognize the inherent worth and dignity of every human body.
Now, shifting gears a bit, I want to delve into another aspect of hair care that's often debated: dyeing hair. I know many people who dye their hair for various reasons, from covering grays to expressing their personal style. But what does the Muwatta have to say about this practice?
It's interesting because while the Muwatta doesn't explicitly forbid dyeing hair, there are differing opinions and nuances to consider, especially when it comes to black dye.
Why the emphasis on black dye?
There's a historical context to this. In some cultures, black dye was associated with attempts to conceal one's age or deceive others. This raised concerns about authenticity and honesty.
So it's not just about the color itself, but the underlying intention.
Precisely. Hadith 51.3.8 tells the story of Abdurrahman ibn al-Aswad dyeing his hair red after being encouraged by Aisha, the Prophet's wife. She even mentions that Abu Bakr, the first caliph, used to dye his hair. This indicates that dyeing hair in itself wasn't necessarily prohibited, but the choice of color and intention played a significant role.
It seems like this echoes the concept of fitna we discussed earlier. Even a seemingly personal choice like dyeing one's hair can be problematic if it's driven by vanity
With deception.
or a desire to imitate practices considered incompatible with Islamic values.
Yes, and this highlights the importance of seeking knowledge and understanding the nuances of Islamic teachings. It's not always about black and white rules, but rather discerning the spirit of the guidance and applying it to our individual circumstances. Imam Malik himself expressed a preference for not dyeing hair black, but he acknowledged that other colors were generally considered permissible. This demonstrates the room for interpretation and the importance of individual conscience within the framework of Islamic jurisprudence.
This concept of ikhtilaf, or difference of opinion, is something I find fascinating. It reminds us that there isn't always a single right answer, and that engaging with diverse perspectives can enrich our understanding of faith. But even with this allowance for varying interpretations, I think it's important to reflect on our own motivations. For dyeing our hair, are we doing it for the right reasons? Are we being true to ourselves and our values?
Those are essential questions. Ultimately, our actions, even those as seemingly simple as dyeing our hair, should be guided by a desire to please God and live in accordance with His will. If our intentions are pure and our actions reflect our values, then we can approach even seemingly mundane choices with a sense of purpose and meaning.
That's a beautiful way to frame it. It's a reminder that even in matters of personal style and grooming, we can find opportunities to connect with our faith and deepen our relationship with God. Now, I'm curious to see how these themes of intention and connection play out in other aspects of the Muwatta.
Let's explore that. The next section takes us beyond physical appearance and delves into a more profound aspect of the human experience, the need for refuge and solace in times of fear and anxiety.
This is a topic that resonates deeply with me, especially in today's world, where we face so much uncertainty and turmoil. I'm eager to see what wisdom the Muwatta offers in navigating these challenges.
It's in these moments of vulnerability that the power of faith truly shines. The Muwatta reminds us that we're not alone in our struggles. We have a source of strength and comfort that transcends the limitations of our own understanding and abilities.
So how does the Muwatta address this universal human need for refuge and solace?
It offers a powerful and practical solution, seeking refuge in the words of Allah. Hadith 51.4.9 tells the story of Khalid ibn al-Walid, a renowned military commander. Known for his bravery and strength, despite his outward courage, Khalid was troubled by nightmares. He sought guidance from the Prophet, who taught him specific words to recite for protection.
That's fascinating. Even someone as seemingly fearless as Khalid ibn al-Walid experienced fear and sought comfort in faith. It humanizes these historical figures and reminds us that we all share similar vulnerabilities.
Exactly. It highlights the universality of the human experience. The words taught by the Prophet are, I seek refuge with the complete words of Allah from his anger and his punishment, and the evil of his slaves, and from the evil suggestions of the shayateen, and from their being present at death. These words encapsulate a comprehensive seeking of refuge, encompassing protection from divine wrath, the harm inflicted by others, and the whispers of evil forces that might lead us astray.
It's like a shield of words, offering protection on multiple levels. And it's interesting how this hadith connects back to the concept of fitna we discussed earlier. It recognizes the power of both external and internal forces that can lead us into temptation or harm.
Yes, and it emphasizes the importance of actively seeking God's protection. In all circumstances, this act of seeking refuge is not just a passive prayer, but a conscious affirmation of our reliance on God's power and mercy.
This reminds me of the concept of tawakkul, which I understand to mean placing our trust and reliance on God. It's about recognizing our limitations and surrendering our anxieties to a higher power. Have you ever felt the need to seek refuge in Allah's words? During moments of fear or anxiety, what does this concept of tawakkul mean to you personally?
That's a beautiful question, and one that resonates deeply with me. Tawakkul is not just a theoretical concept, but a lived experience, a source of strength and solace that carries me through challenging times. It's about acknowledging my own limitations and surrendering my worries to a power greater than myself. It doesn't mean becoming passive, but rather finding a deep sense of peace and security in knowing that I'm not alone in my struggles.
That's such a powerful and comforting perspective. It's a reminder that even in the darkest of times, we can find light and hope in our connection with the divine. This theme of seeking refuge takes on an even more profound dimension. In Hadith 51.4.0, where the Prophet is taught words of refuge during his night journey, this miraculous event where he ascended through the heavens must have been filled with awe and wonder, but also a sense of vulnerability, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. The night journey was a pivotal moment in the Prophet's life, a profound spiritual experience. It's remarkable that even during this extraordinary journey, the need for divine protection was emphasized. The Hadith describes the Prophet being taught comprehensive words of refuge, seeking protection from all forms of evil, known and unknown, descending from the sky, ascending from the earth, lurking in the shadows of night and day.
The imagery in this hadith is so vivid. It paints a picture of a world where we're surrounded by unseen forces, both benevolent and malevolent. It highlights the need for constant vigilance and reliance on God's protection.
Yes, and it underscores the universality of this need for refuge. It's not just about protection from physical harm, but also from spiritual and emotional threats, from the negativity that can cloud our hearts and minds.
It's like a reminder to build a fortress of faith around ourselves, to constantly seek God's guidance and protection in navigating the complexities of life. As we move towards the final section of Book 51, I'm struck by how the discussion of hair has led us to these profound reflections on seeking refuge and finding solace in the divine. It's like peeling back the layers of an onion, revealing deeper and deeper truths.
That's a wonderful analogy. And as we delve into the final section, we'll see how this theme of connection with God extends to our relationships with each other. The Muwatta highlights the profound connection between our love for God and our love for one another. It reminds us that our relationships are not just earthly bonds, but can be pathways to spiritual growth and divine blessings.
This is a beautiful and timely reminder, especially in a world where relationships can often feel transactional or superficial. I'm eager to explore how the Muwatta guides us toward building relationships that are grounded in faith and radiate love and compassion.
Let's delve into that. Hadith 51.5.13 paints a vivid and heartwarming picture of this connection. It tells us that on the Day of Judgment, when the sun is scorching and there's no shade except God's, he will ask, Where are those who loved each other for my majesty? Today I will shade them in my shade.
Wow, that's a powerful image. It suggests that love for God is not just an abstract concept, but something that manifests in our relationships with others. It's about recognizing the divine spark in each other and treating each other with kindness, respect, and compassion.
Exactly. This kind of love, rooted in faith and a shared commitment to God's will, transcends the limitations of ego and personal desires. It's a selfless love that seeks the well-being and spiritual growth of the beloved, and as the Hadith suggests, it earns us a special place in God's mercy.
But how do we cultivate this kind of love? It seems like such a high standard, almost unattainable in the messy reality of human relationships.
It's certainly a journey, a process of continuous growth and purification of the heart. But the Muwatta offers guidance along the way. Hadith 51.5.14 lists 7 categories of people who will receive special favor from God on the Day of Judgment. These include a just leader, a youth devoted to worship, someone whose heart is attached to the mosque, 2 people who love each other for God's sake, a person who weeps in solitude while remembering God, a person who resists temptation, and a person who gives charity secretly.
It's interesting that love for God's sake is included among these acts of piety and devotion. It suggests that our relationships with others are not separate from our relationship with God. They're interconnected aspects of our faith journey.
Precisely. The way we treat others, the love and compassion we extend, and the bonds we forge are all reflections of our understanding and implementation of Islamic teachings. And to bring this concept to life, let's explore the beautiful story of Mu'adh bin Jabal and Abu Idris, as narrated in Hadith 51.5.45. Abu Idris, upon witnessing Mu'adh's wisdom and devotion, expresses his love for him for the sake of God. Mu'adh, deeply touched by this declaration, shares a profound teaching from the Prophet Muhammad. God the Blessed and Exalted says, "My love is obligatory for those who love each other for my sake, who sit with each other for my sake, who visit each other for my sake, and who spend on each other for my sake."
Wow, that's incredibly powerful. It suggests that our love for each other, when rooted in our love for God, becomes a reflection of His love. It creates a ripple effect, radiating outwards and drawing us closer to the divine. It reminds us that our relationships have the potential to be sources of immense spiritual growth and blessing.
Exactly. When we connect with others with sincerity, respect, and a shared commitment to faith, we create a sacred space where love for God can flourish.
And this brings our deep dive into Muwatta Imam Malik, Book 51 Hair, to a close. It's been an incredible journey, exploring the multifaceted dimensions of a seemingly simple topic, from the practicalities of grooming to the profound depths of spiritual connection. This book has offered guidance and insights that can enrich our lives on multiple levels.
It's a reminder that even the most mundane aspects of our lives can hold profound meaning and purpose when viewed through the lens of faith.
Thank you for joining us on this exploration. May we all strive to embody the values of Ihsan, excellence in faith, in our personal care, our relationships, and our connection with the divine. Until next time, may peace and blessings be upon you all.